Hello there, I'm Shawn Briggs. I am one of the digital content producers at Wex Photo Video. You might recognize me from some of the YouTube videos that we output on a regular basis, or on Facebook when we release videos on there. All the content about some of the products that we sell, or just some of the tips and tricks videos that we put out there about just video and photography in general. Today, however, I am here for the photography show, and the topic I'm going to be covering is building a home streaming studio. Now, I'm going to be talking about things in a very scalable manner. Some parts I talk about may be useful to you, but then there are probably going to be parts that maybe aren't quite what you're looking for. But I'm going to be covering a range of different things to hopefully suit a whole range of different people out there who are watching this video. So just bear with me on certain things. There are loads of different ways that you can orchestrate a live stream. For those of you who don't know what a live stream is, it's simply a live broadcast from your computer or your smartphone or whatever devices out there available that allow you to basically broadcast a live feed of some kind out onto the internet for other people to view as live. Now, there are a lot of things to consider when building a home streaming studio. Things like what software to use, is my computer powerful enough, can I do it on a Mac? What cameras should I use? Do I need to just buy a webcam? Can I use my mirrorless cameras as my webcam? What microphones do I use? What microphones are compatible with computers? What module devices do I need to connect my current microphones to my computers? There are loads of different things. There's also things like vision mixing switches that you can buy as well as just streaming controllers in general that allow you to be extra creative when live on your stream. As I said, I'm going to be talking about a range of different things that are quite scalable for different types of streamers. So there's probably going to be parts of this video that are relevant to you, but then probably some bits and pieces that are not quite what you were looking for. But just bear with me because I'm going to just go through everything and then you can decide for yourself what you find useful. But in order to actually just get started and do a stream, you often don't really need that much to actually accomplish this. All the extra technology that you acquire is usually just to make your stream better and more professional and more visually interesting to your audience. You may even use it as a way to appeal to certain types of audiences and to show them that you are on the level that they are interested in. Things commonly used to spruce up someone's live stream are things like having a really nice microphone that kind of looks aesthetically pleasing if you're going for that podcasty look. Also just lighting. Lighting goes such a long way when making your live stream just look that bit more pro, but also just making sure that people can actually see you and that you're not underlit whilst broadcasting. You can also look at things like RGB lighting, which is otherwise known as HSI lighting, which just means that you can change the colors of your lights to suit what kind of theme or mood that you are going for in your stream. There are tons of examples online of other creators, streamers and content creators alike, who use these sort of practices just to make their videos stand out and look at that level of what people are really just coming to expect from online viewing. And hopefully this video can help you decide what it is that you need for your live stream. Now, just to give you a little bit more detail on the genres of live streaming, we can be talking about the corporate sectors, which can focus on if you want a keynote speaker to be present, but they can't physically be there at an event. Then live streaming is a really good option for that, to bring that presence to the people who are attending your exhibition. Kind of like how I am now. I know that this video isn't live. You might have noticed that there's been some cuts here and there. That's because this video isn't live, but don't worry, I'm actually moderating this video, so if you've got any questions, do feel free to ask and I'll be there typing along to make sure that I'm answering any questions that you guys want answered. Now, moving over to the more artistic genres of live streaming by just independent content creators, for instance, like YouTubers or those who do live streams on twitch.tv, what we're generally seeing are like people streaming video games or hosting competitions for video games online. You can also find people who are doing arts and crafts via live stream from their garages or from even their bedrooms. So, you know, there are lots of different avenues where you can take live streaming just in general. It really is just like you're just broadcasting a video feed with some sound essentially. So once you've got that, you can make of it what you will, and there's so many options for what kind of technologies you can implement into that you can really just like make a show of it and do whatever it is that you want. And that is what's really exciting about it. We are now going to be moving on to chapter 1 of 5 in this video, which is entitled How to Cast a Stream. Now, if you're going to cast a stream, the only thing that you really need is a computer. You just need a computer to actually be casting from and a profile on the relevant websites that you can then basically have as your hosting profile place where your video is outputted to. You may also need to download a streaming software. The one that I use is OBS Studio. It is free online. If you Google it, you can find it. As I said, it's free. So if you want an easy, up-to-date streaming software, then you can choose that one. Now, the way that streaming profiles work, whether it be through YouTube or Facebook or Twitch.tv, you just create a profile. I'm sure a lot of us have Facebook profiles, and I'm sure a lot of us have YouTube accounts. If you don't have a Twitch.tv account and you want to be streaming to there, then you will need to make one. That is also free. So you just make an account, same as you would with YouTube or Facebook, really. Just put your email in and whatever username you want. Choose a password, all that. Now, say that your stream is you're just doing some like digital art on Photoshop or something like that. If that's the kind of thing that you want to put out, for example, then all you need to do is make sure you've got that open and that you've got OBS Studio open. Once you've got it open, you just want to make a scene. You can name it whatever you want. Scene 1, I usually call them. So I just have kind of like numbered scene selections. And then you just want to make a layer in a way. It works similar to what most editing softwares are like. If you're using Photoshop, then this is kind of works the same way. Whatever layer is at the top is the one that is the top layer, and the ones at the bottom are all the bottom layers. You do have to do this for your sound layers as well, and they'll appear in the audio mixer to the right, or it depends how you have your OBS Studio configured, but it's generally quite self-explanatory of how to build all of this, but you do have to. I would advise doing a few checks when you've set all this up. You have the option to output a recording to a hard drive on your computer. So if you wanted to test what your stream is outputting, then you just need to make sure you're outputting to a folder that is designated for that, so you can find the video recording and then just watch that video back. And then any sound or any visuals that are coming through on that recording is what your audience are going to be seeing at the other end when you're streaming. And then when you are ready to stream, the only thing you then need is you just need the stream key from your profile, whether that be Twitch.tv, YouTube, Facebook, whatever service you're using, and then you want to apply that stream key into the streaming settings of OBS. And once you're ready to go, you just hit start streaming, and then you're streaming. You can, of course, check the website, make sure you're streaming, but depending on how you have OBS set up, whether you're just like looking at your monitor, which means that anything that pops up on your monitor, the stream feed will be capturing, or you can set it so it's a window capture. So if you are focusing on a particular window, say like Photoshop, if that's what you're doing, then you can just like isolate it to Photoshop so that when you're looking at other windows on your computer, that they're not interfering with what your audience are seeing essentially. And that's it. It's really easy. A lot of laptops these days, they have built-in microphones and webcams, so you can also just use those if you're starting out. It's also good just for portability and flexibility. If you're somebody who's quite international and moves around a lot, then using a laptop with your streaming software and everything on there is a viable solution for being able to be visually and audibly present on a live stream if you need that. But generally speaking, you want to give a little bit more pizzazz to your stream in order for it to be engaging for your audience. Because I mean, we've all been on those Zoom calls by now, I'm pretty sure, a lot of us at least, whereby it's quite, you know, the webcam quality is not always the best. Yes, there are filters to make it extra fun, but even they can get old. And you might just want a little bit more production value than that. Besides laptops, of course, there are also various products out there which are specifically dedicated to doing the live streaming process for you. Now, that's not to say that you don't need to know how to use it. It's not just a plug and play sort of thing. Well, it kind of is, but you still need to know how to use it. But there are various products out there, like Teradek, we know, have brought out some products that you literally plug into a camera, and then given that you've got a signal, whether that be through hotspotting through your phone or just having Wi-Fi available, it's really good for if you're like out on location. We are talking home streaming studios, but I think it's worth a mention in case you are looking at something that's a little bit more away from the laptop. Say that you're not very good with computers. There are links in the description, by the way, guys, to these products that I'm mentioning. On our store page is a plethora of information that can tell you pretty much all you need to know what these products actually do and how they work, and even just what they look like and what form factors they take. But of course, you can also give us a call or send us an email to our store if you want like a quote, or you just want to talk about these products and find out firsthand if they are what's good for you. We might have even done some videos on some of these products. They will also be in the description if they exist. So now we're going to moving on to chapter 2, which is all about cameras. Now, I mentioned earlier that laptops you generally buy these days will come with inbuilt webcams and microphones that you can use for your live streams, just to make it easier, to make it more compact. It's all inbuilt. But if you're wanting that little bit more pizzazz, or you don't have a webcam in the first place, buying an external webcam is a viable option. They're built with the sole purpose of connecting to a computer, so you've got the reassurance that it's going to work. Sometimes there is like a little bit of software you need to install for the computer to recognize it. But generally as well, I mean, webcams built into laptops these days are good quality, but you can get some truly exceptional webcams of even better quality out there. Well, you know, ones that are better in low light, for instance, ones that just have a better range of colors that they can pick up on to send into your computer. All of these things just make your live stream just look nicer, more crisp, more HD. But alternatively, if you're wanting even more quality, like really professional, like you want a shallow depth of field and everything in your video, I know some webcams and some softwares provide like a fake shallow depth of field by kind of like, it's through like some sort of artificial intelligence where it kind of crops around a subject and can blur out the background. I mean, it looks good, I guess. It works for some people. But if you're wanting something that truly has that kind of depth of field look to it, then you're probably looking at getting some sort of a mirrorless camera of some kind and adapting that to be your webcam. Now, Lumix cameras are very good for this. They've got a piece of software that you can download from the website, which when you install it on your computer will make it so that when you plug in your GH5 or S5 or S1H Lumix camera, the camera will ask you whether you want to like, I don't know, like tether for storage or PC tether, those kinds of options. You want to select PC tether. And then when you do that, given that you've got this software installed and that the camera's got the most up-to-date firmware update, then the computer will recognize your camera and then start pulling from it as if it was a webcam. And that's really good because it means that all of a sudden you've got all these like lovely picture quality cameras out there that you can use. You've also got loads of lenses that you can choose from, whether you want like a wide angle or if you want something a little bit more telephoto. It also means that if you just wanted to record in your home studio straight into your computer, say you're not even doing a live stream and you're just doing a little bit of home recording, you can use your computer as your kind of like big old like memory card in a way and just save directly to your computer's internal hard drives. But not only can you do this with Panasonic's Lumix cameras, but you can also do this with the Sony Alpha series as well. So if you are more of a Sony shooter than a Panasonic shooter, then you can get it to work. I know that various content creators that I'm subscribed to online use the Sony Alpha series to do their live streams and record their videos for YouTube. So I would have a look into that and find the right software that you need for your computer in order to marry up camera to computer and get that webcam functionality from them. Failing that, however, if you have a camera that you can't connect to your computer as a webcam for whatever reason, whether it's just not compatible or the software's not working, then usually you can have at least a live view on your computer, which generally people would use for like when they're in a photography studio and they're wanting to control their camera from their laptop or something, so they can like, you know, just like take photos, have those photos come straight into their computer and then start editing them. If you can get that live view and eliminate all of the furniture from the, you know, the live view monitor, you know, like kind of, you know, when it says ISO and like your sound levels at the bottom of the screen or whatever, then if you can get that clean picture, then what you can do through OBS Studio is that you can actually window capture that and just kind of expand and resize it into your like preview window or program window. It's very easy to do. It's a bit of a workaround. Some of you might deem that a little bit, you know, unideal, but it does work, and it's something that I've done on a couple of live streams that I've done in the past. Even video recording, if I didn't really want to leave my desk or like move my camera around and reconfigure everything, then if everything was just in place and ready to go, then I would just hit like record on my computer straight into my hard drive from my camera to OBS, and away I went. Now that pretty much gives you an overview on cameras for live streaming and what is possible. So now I'm going to move on to chapter 3. So now we're going to be talking about your audio. Audio is very important. If you've got obviously a camera set up and you're doing some speaking, then people probably need to be able to hear what you're saying. So having some good microphones for your live stream is very important as well. Now you don't need much. As I said, laptops have like microphones built into them and stuff. They'll do the job, but it just won't sound as professional. As a single person creator, this is my kind of home studio sort of setup here. Obviously I'm using my camera to film this, which is why it's not there as my webcam at the moment. But what I use for my single person audio recording is I use my Rode NT USB, which you can see here. A very high quality microphone. As it says in the name, it's USB, so it plugs straight into your computer. You get some amazing audio quality and it pretty much marries up to your computer straight away. I don't remember having to install any software or anything to get it working. It was pretty much just registered straight away through Windows as a microphone, and I could start using it on all the platforms. So all my Zoom calls, all of my kind of Discord conversations, all of that stuff. And obviously all of my video recordings whereby I was working very much from the computer and had this as the microphone that I was recording through. Now that is a very good option for if you don't already have a microphone and you literally just want a microphone that plugs into your computer and works straight away, like the Rode NT USB is perfect for that. However, if you have microphones already and they exclusively only connect via like XLR or like, you know, not the 3.5 mini jack, but like the big mini jack, you know, that one, then something that you can get is an audio input device. That is a general term for what the device is. It's an audio input device that plugs straight into your computer, and then with that device, that's where you plug in your XLR cables and everything. And it's basically like a little AV sort of unit that will push all of the audio that goes into that through into your computer as basically your microphone. And what is also really good about having these audio input devices is that often, depending on which model you get, you'll get multiple XLR inputs, which all of a sudden opens up the door to having multiple guest speakers all in the same room. Now I know we're not doing that at the moment and this is like a home streaming studio video, but just to let you know that the option is there. Having an audio input device is really useful for if you want multiple microphones going on at once. Say that you've got a panel of people that are speaking and you want to be broadcasting that, whether you're doing that at home or in an office or something like that, then all those options are available to you. What is also really good about audio input devices is that they often have the volume dials beside each of those XLR plugs. I find that having an interface that's more hands-on as well is a lot more kind of like intuitive and feels just a lot more freeing than if you were to be like wiggling a mouse around over like, you know, a computer screen trying to get those audio levels perfect. You also have options like the Rodecaster Pro and the Tascam US42B Mini Studio, which are both devices which are dedicated for this sort of thing that just give you a little bit more control over your audio. You can even use it to feed in from phone calls as well. Well, the Rodecaster Pro definitely can. And that's just really useful for, say, if you're running, say, like a podcast, or like just streaming and someone's calling in as like a guest speaker, then you can have a feed directly from someone's phone coming into your live stream. I mean, they do it in news broadcasts. I mean, that's just a level of professional working that I think just adds that extra level of production value to a live stream. And that pretty much concludes what I have to say about audio. As I mentioned earlier, I am moderating this video, so if you do have any questions, do feel free to write those down in the comments to this video and I'll be sure to answer. If you're watching this video at a later date, do feel free to still comment down below any questions that you have, and either myself, George, or Amy will get back to you as soon as we can. So now that we've gone through cameras and microphones and how to plug in more microphones if you want more microphones, now I'm going to talk to you about how you can plug in more cameras. Because usually with a webcam, it's kind of like you have one camera there and then that's kind of like what you're getting and that's all you've got. But there are a range of products available out there that allow you to have more than one camera feed coming through one line into your computer. And the one that comes to mind for me is the Blackmagic A10 Mini. Now there are a range of different Blackmagic A10 Minis now. We've got just the Bob standard A10 Mini, we've got the A10 Mini Pro, we've got the A10 Mini ISO, we've got the A10 Mini Extreme, which is just a bigger A10 Mini. Now what the A10 Minis do, you've got a certain number of HDMI inputs available to you, and what these HDMI inputs are for is just to receive a visual feed of some kind. And you'll have input 1, 2, 3, 4 if you just got the standard A10 Mini. If you've got the Extreme, then it goes up to 8 HDMI inputs, which gives you basically 8 channels that you can switch between. And then you obviously have the buttons on the top of the A10 Mini, which basically just represent each of those HDMI inputs. So when you press on 1, it'll switch to 1. If you press 3, it'll switch to 3, and so on and so forth. You also have various transitional options built into the A10 Mini, so you can get quite creative with it. The A10 Mini is great for basically just creating a live broadcast that is how a live broadcast usually is, where you are cutting between different cameras and including different feeds, and maybe you have 2 different camera feeds on screen at once because 2 people from 2 different parts of the world are talking to each other on screen. Like, those are things that are really good, and you can live stream this. Also, this is a great solution for if you're having trouble connecting your camera to your computer as a webcam, so you're using mirrorless or something, because what the A10 Mini also does is that it acts as like the middleman which converts whatever feeds it's getting into it into a webcam feed. So as soon as you plug it into your computer, it is working straight away. But if you are wanting something that is more going to take advantage of what OBS Studio has to offer in itself, then I would recommend using Loupedeck Live. Loupedeck have made a few different controllers which you can download the Loupedeck software for, and what these controllers are basically really nice little controllers which work across a bunch of different software and have a bunch of different uses. You can use them for color grading, you can use them just for like opening up applications like touch controls next to your computer without having to like go double clicking on anything. It's basically an interface that you can augment to work in a way that suits you. If you want me to go more in depth on the Loupedeck Live, then there is a video that I made late last year about the Loupedeck Live. The link is in the description, so if you want to know all about that, then that video is there for you. Of course, there's also a link to our store page where you can see all the specs and information that you need about it as well. You can even use the Loupedeck Live as a vision mixer as well. So say like you've got different scenes set up, which are like kind of purpose-built sort of designed scenes that you've made for a specific streaming purpose, then you can designate those in the Loupedeck software and you can name them what you want as well, and then you can make those readily available on the touch surface of the Loupedeck Live. Now I understand that switches and controllers are not something that all of you are thinking about when building your home streaming studio. I'm just mentioning them in case they are, because they can be extremely useful for various different scenarios, whether you do have a more kind of like a bigger broadcast sort of suite that you're trying to connect. But also, like with the Loop Deck Live, it just makes workflow a lot easier, gives you a lot more control over OBS and various other applications like Photoshop and Premiere Pro. As I said, the video is in the description for the Loop Deck Live, so you want to check that out and see what it's all about, then you can do so. But now, on to our final chapter. As you might have guessed from the subtitle, this 5th chapter is all about lighting. Lighting, I think, is a very important thing, mainly because you want people to be able to see you, but also you want to look good on camera. Having a very nice picture quality from your camera obviously helps to make you look good, or just make your live stream look good in general. Now, I'm sure there are people out there who can relate to looking back at footage of yourself and thinking, ooh, hideous. The way to get around this is not just having a beautiful camera that captures a beautiful shot. You also want some beautiful lighting so that everything looks very kind of like tailored to purpose, and so that also you're just kind of drawing attention towards what it is that you want your viewers to be looking at. The same way that you would use your shallow depth of field to kind of focus in on something that you want their attention to be focused on. I have currently got kind of like a 3-point lighting thing going on at the moment. That is what I would recommend everybody do. I'm currently using an LED panel up here to key light myself. By key light, I mean the light that is lighting you, your face. And then I've got my backlight, which is what I'm using my lamp for, just here. And what that is, I'm using it for 2 purposes. Is to kind of cast a gradient glow on the wall, because you want your background to be lit in a way that kind of looks interesting. So you've got loads of colors going on, a little bit of shadow, a little bit of highlight, kind of smoothing of colors going across the spectrum. And then I've also just got a little lamp on the floor over here just to give a little bit more of a fill, so that I'm not like bright on one side and then just completely dark on the other. A practice that I have learned over the years is that if ever you see a lamp or some sort of light in the background of a shot and it's not switched on, it generally looks a little bit weird. Like, even if it's only emitting a tiny bit of light, you just need, if you're seeing a lamp, you just need it on. I don't know why, it's a subconscious thing. If it's not on, it just makes me think student film for some reason. And we don't want that, we want pro. If all it takes is just flicking that bulb on, then that's what we want. Because it just adds a little bit more production value to the scene, it adds a thoughtfulness to the scene. And also it just adds, as I said, more color to the background, and it just adds a little bit of light over my shoulder here, which is what we call backlighting, and it just kind of helps to separate me out from the background that's going on. Now, a product that I think would be really exciting to use with this lamp right here is the Accent B7C LED smart bulb. Now, they have a really good CRI count, which means that you're getting like a very good quality color that comes out of them, whether that be through either the color temperature that it's outputting or just the RGB color that it's outputting, because that's the thing, it's an RGB light bulb. So say like you're trying to set a mood for a certain stream, or you just want to add a little bit of flavor to your shot to make it stand out a little bit, then you can have, say, like a purple hue in the background, or you can have it as red, you can have it as green, or just have it as some kind of like blue or something like that. It'd be really good for like branding. For instance, if you've got a brand that you want to stick to and you've got some like some colors that represent what your brand is, then you can use that bulb to output that color. There is an app that you can get for your smartphone, which you can control it through as well, so it becomes very hands-off. It is an LED light bulb, so it doesn't emit too much heat, and that's the same to be said for all LED lighting. If you're generally using like big tungsten lights, then they will be emitting heat, and that can be quite, if you're streaming for long periods of time, it can wear you out through heat exhaustion and dehydration and things like that. So I would recommend, if you're going to go for like lighting at all, then LED is your best option, especially because LED lights are generally quite smaller as well. So really they're kind of better in every way because they've got no heat emission. The bulbs don't just pop randomly, so you have to replace them every so often, and also like they're quite scalable in terms of size. So depending on what kind of home studio setup that you have, what sort of space you have, the dimensions of the room I'm referring to, then you can find an LED product which works for you. And you get them from as small as this to as big as this. So yeah, loads of options there for you. There are links in the description to a few recommendations. So if you're looking for like a 3-point lighting kit, or you just simply want a single light just to light you up so that you look kind of like, you know, so that you're lit. If you're not in the best situations, then sometimes all you need is just a single panel light just so that people can at least see you. But also, like, as I said, the Aperture Accent B7C bulbs will be there as well. So feel free to check those out too. So I hope that this big overview of how to build a home streaming studio was useful to you. Of course, like I'm sure some of you have been asking a few questions and we've been answering a few, so I hope that we've been helpful. Of course, like if you need a little bit more information, there is plenty on our website, if referring to any of the products that are linked there. And if you need any more information, then do feel free to give us a call or send us an email, and a member of our team will get back in touch with you, or just pick up the phone and talk to you right there and then. To everyone who has stuck with me through this presentation, thank you very much. If you are watching in the future after the premiering of this video, then thank you very much for watching, and be sure to leave a cheeky like, and maybe subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Facebook. We're making content about all these kinds of products pretty much all the time. I say pretty much all the time, it is all the time. So be sure to subscribe to all of our platforms to stay up to date on the kind of things that we're working on, the kind of products that are coming out. We're always happy to answer any questions that you have, as stated previously, so do feel free to get in touch if you need to. But yeah, as a few final words, I just want to say I hope you're all staying safe, and I hope to see you all soon at future shows. But for now, this is farewell.